Hey y'all, and welcome to Culture Cult, where we are one podcast with 197 countries to explore travel, stories, and history from. I'm your host, Marie, and this episode we're diving into a country. So each season we feature different countries to highlight, whether it be randomly spinning on the globe, fan choice, or featuring a local from a certain country and hearing their perspective. You can have a say in the next country featured by following our Instagram at culturecultshow. Also, remember to comment, rate, and subscribe to the show on whatever platform you're listening on. Cheers and enjoy! Hey y'all, welcome back to the show. Today we are starting a new country. It's El Salvador, and it's a super special episode because I have two guests on today, not just me and the usual one. We have culturecultshow.
Hey.
Who was on the Zimbabwe episode, and then a new guest, Kenia, who was actually born and raised in El Salvador.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah, so we're going to get firsthand experience of what this country is like, along with diving into one thing the whole world can agree about, which is soccer. And even if you're not a huge soccer fan, like I'm personally not, Kenya told me this really, really crazy story and an incredible untold story about a local Salvadorian soccer team that rose from nothing to world champions in beach soccer. So if anything, if you're into soccer, if you're into perseverance, if you're into a good story, this is your episode. So with that said, welcome on, y'all.
Thank you for having us.
I love how professional we're being, but really, y'all are sitting literally in a closet.
Wait, wow, there goes our cover.
Yeah, thank you, Marie.
We are in a professional studio.
Yes. It is a fancy closet.
It is
Yeah, there's lots of nice clothes in here.
Lots of nice clothes. But if you could just see this, they're having to share one mic, sit really close to each other with glasses of wine in a closet.
We're focused on the glasses of wine.
Oh my God.
It's not where we're at. It's who we're with.
Exactly. And I mean, this is super fun because we're doing 3 people for the first time. And y'all might be thinking, okay, yes, Kenya makes sense because she's Salvadorian. Is Kyle Salvadorian?
Last time I checked, no.
Honoring.
So what is he doing here? I don't know.
Well, to be honest, I've been asking myself that ever since I walked through the front door, but here I am.
Well, I did want to have you on though, because you're sassy, which is always a good time.
Yeah.
And then, but also, again, I'm not really a soccer person, but you all are both big soccer fans. So I feel like that was going to help when she explains.
Runs deep.
Yeah, we're actually rival soccer fans.
Wait, yeah. Okay. So what are y'all's teams?
Well, so in Spain, I really like Barcelona because of their team identity. It's passing the ball. It's La Familia.
They're broke.
We are a broke familia right now, but we will rise again. And Kenya is Real Madrid, which for everyone in America is basically like rooting for the Yankees.
Okay.
You mean the winning team every time?
You know what I mean?
So you got the broke ass bitches and the winning team. That's what I heard.
No. So clearly you're not a soccer fan. But yeah, Barcelona's going through a little tough patch, but don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're winning titles and qualifying for the Champions League final. So, yeah.
Yeah, get them while Barcelona's down.
But yeah, I mean, mainly this is about El Salvador. Not Madrid,
okay.
not Barcelona. But because we've been trying to do this episode for a while. And before we get into all the fun soccer stuff and a really good soccer story, I really wanted to dive in to El Salvador. And yeah, you growing up there. So tell us about where you're from in El Salvador. And even if you can kind of point it on a map, if you could describe where it is, because it's pretty small.
Yes. So El Salvador, it's one of the 6 countries now in Central America. We are very small. You can cross the entire country in about 6 to 7 hours.
Wow.
Walking or driving?
Yeah. But yeah, the area that I am from, it's what we're divided by Central, Occidental, and Oriental. And I am from the Oriental side, which is closer to Honduras.
Okay.
And my hometown, it's called San Juan de la Cruz. So that's where I'm from.
Morazan.
Okay. I always think this when I travel. Everywhere you go, I think every morning sounds different or the smells are different. Like when you think of El Salvador, what does the mornings sound like there? And what are like smells and colors that pop out to you?
Yeah. So my view in the mornings, it's the sunrise overlooking up the mountains.
Oh, wow.
It's very green. And the smells, it's because I am from the countryside in El Salvador. The smell is this if it's rained, it's the smell of, wet, like dirt, just very natural. Also a lot of agriculture in the area. So that it's, it's just a combination of smells that just remind me of home.
Yeah, I love that. Don't you have a famous goat in your town?
Yes.
Can you please tell about this goat?
We do have a famous goat. His name is Chito. And
like the chip.
No, it's spelled differently. But he is not from my direct hometown. He's from a town nearby.
Very global.
Yes, global, very global. He very famous, very popular because this is a goat that thinks he is a dog. So travels with his owner everywhere, gets in the cars and the buses, wherever she's going, the goat is there. And, that also it's a reflection of the culture in El Salvador. We love nature. I think that it's something we have in common with everyone that I've met, because our country itself, it's very green, especially the area that I'm from. It's still pristine to civilization and buildings, tall buildings, right? Like most of our infrastructure, it's still very colonial. The roads have been paved not like longer than 10 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So, or 20, just like still very pristine.
Yeah, it's like country, rustic, goat loving. Yeah, the goat's on the news, which is the best part. It was on the news.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so yes, we're getting the countryside, which kind of relates to my next question, but what is something unique that El Salvador has in your opinion?
Yeah, something unique. I think it's about the size of the country. I think, in my opinion, makes it very attractive to tourism. It's the fact that you can go from the beach to the mountains to the city, everything within 30 minutes.
That's insane.
Yeah. So, in a lot of places, a lot of people will recognize Costa Rica, for example, right? Very touristy. A lot of their economy comes from tourism, but you do have to travel 6 hours or so to get to a different part of the country. In El Salvador, by that point, you've covered the entire country. So it makes it very good for traveling if you want to get the experience of going on a tropical forest hike. You can do that and then spend the afternoon at the beach with no problem.
I know it also known in the backpacker community.
Yes.
And it's a huge surf spot too.
Yeah. We actually host the World Cup qualifying games for surfing because the entire country has a coast. So we get beautiful waves. And I just think, even the culture itself, it's very welcoming to tourists. So people really enjoy being able to go and spend time at the beach and explore. Okay,
my next question is, what are some unique personality traits that you think you have because you're Salvadorian? Like for me, like I'm from the South, so I know how to party. I know how to be loud. That came with being Southern. Kyle's from San Francisco. Like he's a known asshole. So
Mr. Worldwide over here.
I'm really kidding y'all. Kyle's just an asshole. So with El Salvador, like what are some unique personality traits you think you have because you're Salvadorian?
I think two of the ones that just immediately come to mind are, one is resilience. We are very hardworking people. A lot of time, the resources provided to us might be lacking in comparison to what other countries get, right? Because we're so small. Also, we are a very poor country. So with that, I think having the resilience to not give up and whatever limitations we have, we find a way to make it work. If I don't have sugar for my coffee that day, my neighbor will do. And they will provide. I mean, my neighbor will have some sugar. And, having that sense of community creates that resilience to not giving up on what you want. And I will say, from my experience with my fellow Salvadorians, it's having that resilience and that resourcefulness to figuring out if, something might not be working out for you, but getting creative and how to figure it out. Yeah.
That's awesome qualities. Wish I had more of that, honestly. But I'm just loud. This is what
You're resiliently loud.
I'm just really loud. And Kyle, did you know anything about El Salvador before you met Kenny?
I knew a couple things about it. I knew that how it got its name, right, was, like people were lost at sea, right? Explorers lost at sea, and they found land, and they called land savior because they thought that they were going to die.
What's so funny is that there are people already on the land looking at them going, we're going to die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, who are those people coming on?
The history,
That is so funny.
I knew that they were famous for the waves, that there were a lot of surf competitions there. And yeah, I didn't know much else. I knew their flag was like blue and white.
Those are good flag colors, honestly.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Yeah.
I'm not going to lie. I didn't know much about El Salvador, like at all, until I met you, maybe I met a lot of Salvadorians here in LA and stuff, but I really didn't know about it.
Maybe it's a sign that you would have gotten along with a lot more Salvadorians.
I mean, I kind of do. Like, I'm like starting to attract a lot of Salvadorian friends,
Yeah, because you're resiliently loud.
I'm not saying if they're friends with me, if they like being friends with me, but I'm
sure
friends
it's
with them.
one-sided.
Yes, one-sided. Yeah. So, what would you suggest to someone like me and Kyle if we wanted to travel there? We don't know any, we don't have friends, we don't have family there. How would you suggest we travel there? Like things we would want to do?
I think people are starting to travel more because we do have a very dark history in terms of violence, civil war, and those are things. We actually also had a pretty big earthquake in 2001 that damaged a lot of the infrastructure in the country. But fast forward to today, thankfully the country is recovering and it's attracting a lot of tourism and investments, with particularly the inclusion of Bitcoin as a legal tender for the economy. So those, that's making it more attractive for people to travel there. And one recommendation I will have for people that want to go there is to, when you are immersed in the, you go to a country, you're immersed in the culture, right? You try to do that. However, with El Salvador, that's something that you have to be a little bit more careful about because of the past of the country. Not to say that people are not traveling. People are traveling more and more, but it is something to keep in mind. For example, there are some areas in the country that are not particularly safe right now, but you just have to know, where it is. And there's guides and people that are very helpful guiding people with the areas. Of course, the touristy areas are the beach. Those are the best ones to go to. I just went to, which is where the surfing competitions are hosted, last summer, and it was beautiful. Had an amazing time with my family, and the food, it's just amazing.
Okay, yeah. Let's just talk real quick. What are the top dishes someone has to get?
So my personal favorite, and I know this is gonna be a surprise to you all. It's not pupusas.
Oh,
what?
wow.
She lying.
Shocker.
Yes, it is, because it's not something that you get here often. And I particularly like it the way that it's prepared in El Salvador. It is called sancocho, which is
That sounds like my last name.
It sounds like Kyle's last name. Sancocho, not
right.
so cocho.
Yeah, don't get excited.
Yeah, the ego up in here.
I'm already excited.
See, you're an honorary Salvadorian by last name, I guess.
See.
But it is beef. I love beef. And it is sun-dried.
Sun-dried beef?
Yes. And then you cook it after. So it's like the taste, it's like jerky beef at the beginning, but then once you cook it with peppers, tomatoes, and mix it with rice, it's just very tender, very tasty.
Are you gonna cook this for us one day?
If you want to go to El Salvador.
Yeah.
What if I wanted to have that before going to El Salvador?
It's very hard to find the dried meat, like sun-dried and fresh
Well, you
meat.
can just leave it out on your balcony.
Yeah, but then the cows here are not the same because
But happy cows come from California.
Can you imagine Kenya's just drying beef on her little Santa Monica porch?
He's nomming it.
Imagine. Yeah, no, I mean, I know how to make it. It's just that even when I tried to make it here, didn't taste the same.
Has to be Salvadorian
Yeah,
cows.
it's just the process of making it, I think. The quality of the meat, because I come from the countryside, so we have cows. Like, people literally have to come and tell you when they are going to be selling the meat, so you know when to go get it, and it's fresh. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it definitely just sounds like the countryside life. It just like sounds so nice. And but now you live in Santa Monica, California, which is really different.
Yes.
Like, what are the most obvious differences between being here in America than in El Salvador?
I think one of the biggest differences living in, such a, the west side of LA, it is the culture. There's not a lot of Hispanics here, so it's very hard for me to find like authentic.
This is on the
Hispanic
west side of
food.
LA.
Yes.
The east side is a
side.
different story.
Exactly. So this is the west side.
Yeah.
So it is very, different, even finding places that cater towards like Latin music, for example, right? It's very touristy here. So the experience, it's a little bit different. I love it. Don't get me wrong, I love being by the beach. I think that's the common theme for my life. But I do miss the fact that like I could just, walk down the street and go get pupusas, for example. Here, I have to drive 30 minutes to go find pupusas.
Yeah, you just come to my neighborhood. My neighborhood's like pretty much El Salvador.
Yeah.
Like, there's some really good Salvadorian food in my neighborhood. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, just that sense of community too. Growing up, so my hometown, it's about 300 people.
Wow.
Everyone knows each other. Everyone knows about what's going on in your life, and a very small community. Here, you hardly talk to like your neighbors, and that, I think that it's something common to the United States, like culture in general. At least from my experience, that has been the case. And I did move here when I was 15. So most of my formal education and background was in a small town of 300 people.
Yeah.
80 students in where I went to school.
That's insane. Yeah. That's insane. I think my graduating like high school class was about 300 people. And that was your town.
Yeah.
Wow. How's that for perspective?
Yeah, that was just like one grade at my high school. Oh my God. That's awesome though. You knew everyone.
I knew everyone.
Everyone knows about you.
Yeah.
I'm a nosy person, so I would like that. But yeah, did you want to say anything like else before El Salvador before you jump into our soccer story?
I think, obviously I love my country. I am very proud to be Salvadorian, and I think that if you do meet, Salvadorian, we are very lively people. Give them a hug. Yeah, we're just very friendly, very welcoming people. Sometimes I'm not, but but that it's more personal.
That's a personal thing.
It is a personal thing.
Usually involved.
But yeah, very beautiful people that I miss. My friends from El Salvador dearly, and I'm glad that I get to go back often.
Yeah, no, I really want to go. I don't know how to surf, but I'm down to hang out.
I don't either.
In the countryside.
I don't either, but I tried this past summer and failed miserably.
Did you get slammed by a wave or something?
Very much. Didn't even make it to the wave.
Got slammed by the beach.
Damn sand.
That sand can be pretty tricky.
Yeah, so embarrassing. You're like in the international surfing part of the world, and Kenia's like face planting into those sand.
Doesn't make you good at surfing.
But yeah, no, the first mistake from me, it was just
thinking that you could surf because you were Salvadorian. I'm sure it happens a lot.
It's all about confidence.
Yeah. But yeah, I just wanted to go over real quick, like memory lane, of El Salvador before we get into our soccer team story. I wanted to feature a quick trailer from another awesome travel podcast. It's called the Winging It Travel Podcast. And enjoy.
Hello and welcome to the Winging It Travel Podcast. This is a travel podcast where we're having conversations with new guests every Monday. This is an anecdotal, informative podcast for backpackers, travellers or anyone who's interested in travel. It's a casual style where there'll be stories to tell, tips to share and experiences to inspire. My name is James Hammond. I've travelled to 50 countries, done 3 work visas and planning to do a big worldwide trip later this year. I've met so many people on my travels in the last 10 years that I just have to get them on this podcast to get their stories on record and provide some tips for you for your trip. There'll be so much travel content coming your way in the next coming weeks, months and years that inspire you to book that trip that you've always wanted. Stay tuned for my weekly episode. Thanks.
And we're back. And I just wanted to get into our story today. Before we do, I want to take a step back and talk about the importance of soccer to Central America. This is why I have Kyle on for this episode too, because he's a soccer freak. I'm not.
Soccer freak.
Soccer freak.
He's soccer freak.
But yeah, Kenia, how important is soccer to Central America? Like, do you have any stories or personal experiences?
I think that it just goes along with the identity of our culture, because growing up, you're just very passionate about your country. You have that pride. When your country's playing, you hear the national anthem, you experience that same feeling. Like every Salvadorian, it's feeling the same thing. And that it's not, it's not specific to El Salvador. It's specific to the world in general.
In soccer,
so it is a common theme that we can share with everyone else.
Yeah, because soccer is cool because it's like a country thing. It's not like here in America, it's like state or city. It's literally your country.
Yeah.
Which is so sick.
But, with that, like El Salvador, we have very strong rivalries, I will say.
Ooh, who's your rivals?
Pretty much everyone in Central America.
Everyone who's not Salvadorian.
Oh.
Or in this
I'm just ready to
room.
start some beef, so.
Yeah.
She does love beef.
Try it out, beef.
I will say, like, we get the most rallied up against Mexico. Yeah. And we did go to war over a soccer game with Honduras.
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that.
We're very passionate. Yeah.
Did everyone get a bunch of yellow cards for that one? Or?
Oh my God, that's insane.
But yeah, that was something that soccer was such a big part of my relationships because one, they were usually soccer players. And two, just the, going to a soccer game with them or watching the games was just part of the relationship, part of just like couples watch movies, right? For us, it was watching soccer games.
I love that. Because how did you get into soccer then? You played it though, right?
Yeah. So I got into soccer because of actually FIFA, the video game. And
okay. So this is completely different than how she got into soccer.
Yeah. Well, because like in America, at the time, especially like in the 90s, soccer is not really that great. So the game FIFA actually is a super fun game. And I really love this player called Ronaldinho. And so I noticed that he was like, tricked out in the game. So I was like, who is this guy? And I see this guy's highlight and he literally plays like a video game. If you've never seen Ronaldinho, I will say that he, with his smile and his personality, as well as his magic that he could perform with a soccer ball that has yet to be seen again. Once in a lifetime type of player that made the whole world fall in love with, Barcelona and soccer. And if you didn't know it, like you just couldn't help but look at that guy and be like, damn, he's living his best life. And you felt so happy for him.
And, I have a fun fact about that related to El Salvador. So El Salvador actually had a soccer player that for a lot of people was better than Ronaldinho. His name is Mágico González, and he played for Cádiz in Spain. Barcelona actually wanted to buy him, but he decided that living in Cádiz and living a life of indulgence was what he wanted to do. And so Barcelona decided not to sign him because he basically will not even show up to training. So
He made the decision very easy.
Yeah.
Yes. So he could have been the best player in the world.
Oh, that's really frustrating.
He played with Maradona. A Salvadorian playing with Maradona. Like that doesn't happen often. And it's only happened once. And he decided not to pursue a career. He didn't care about the money. He didn't care about the fame. He loved the game and he loved showing his skills to people, but didn't care about the fame.
Oh, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. And he did care a lot more about nightlife.
Okay, yeah, I kind of relate with this dude.
I mean, he wanted to pursue what he wanted in life. And I would say Ronaldinho, especially toward the end of his Barcelona career, was also about the nightlife as well. But, at that point, he got his, he won the games he wanted to win and accomplished what he wanted to accomplish. And I still look at those highlights, and every time I watch him play, it still makes me smile.
Dang. So then you started playing soccer, though, right?
Not that well, but yeah, that's what made me fall in love with soccer.
Mm-hmm.
And he was playing on Barcelona, which I started looking more into the club and trying to pick my team. And Barcelona at the time had this very family oriented identity, which I fucking loved because it was not about individual success. It was about the team. Mm-hmm. That's why, I started watching Barcelona, and I still root for him.
But who's the most hated team?
That depends on who you ask, I would say. I mean, I don't know. I don't know who's the most hated team.
We don't hate the team. I think we hate the strategy that they play. It's Atletico Madrid.
I wouldn't say I hate Atletico because props. I mean, they don't have the budget as any of these other Barcelona, Real Madrid, but they're scrappy.
Oh, that's that kind of team.
Yeah. You'd like them.
Yeah. No, it's they definitely do really well, but they're not the most fun to watch.
Unless you're an Atletico Madrid fan.
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I mean, as of right now, I'm just going for who's the cutest. And yeah, that's about it. I for me to get into a sport, I do need a team to hate. I need that rivalry. Yeah. So.
Everyone has a rival. Yeah. And I think right now you're into the coaches.
She called me out. Yeah, I keep watching these soccer games and being like, oh, but the coach is cute. So I'm going off, as of right now, I'm going to be a Liverpool person because I think their coach is attractive. Oh.
She hasn't seen the Arsenal one.
Oh, Mikel Arteta. Yeah, you might like him.
I just need to check out the coaches and then I'll pick my team. So that's my take on soccer. We all have very different takes on soccer. But I did want to get into our soccer story, which you told me about the story. I really didn't know much about it. So I usually with these stories, I find the story and then I have the guests just come on and hang out and listen. But really, Kenia, I did not hear this story before. And I tried to look it up and it's all in Spanish. And then I was like, It's I think I need your help. So okay, what's the dealio? Why should we know about the soccer team from your country? What's going on with them, the beach soccer team?
Yeah, so just to quickly introduce the team, it is our beach soccer team, not our national soccer team. And they, the story to highlight here is literally more about the resilience and the inspiration that these players bring to our country, because beach soccer in El Salvador, it's not the most important sport.
Yeah, because it'd be the regular soccer.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, they were already going against the odds in our own country, right? With what it's popular in the country and what the soccer federation cares about. And second of all, the resources that were provided to them were not really set up yet because no one could foresee the success that this group of beach soccer players was going to have. The interesting part about them is that they are actually not soccer players. They are fishermen from islands, very secluded islands in El Salvador where you literally need to get on a boat to be able to go to them. There's no transportation system that gets you to the islands where they're from. And I think, there is just the drive that they had. Again, the theme here, it wasn't about the money because they were not getting paid, because they knew that they were against the odds, right? But the players that were selected to play, they have a lot of heart. And a lot of times people say that, it's a combination of skill and heart to be able to win games. And we've seen it with soccer teams.
Saw it today.
Saw it today, actually. But with El Salvador, the beach soccer team, it just takes it to a whole nother level where you have the players that were selected. You have them, people that a lot of them didn't know how to read or write. A lot of them didn't have a refrigerator in their home, a TV in their home, really coming from very, very underprivileged communities that no one paid attention before. And fast forward to, a few years after the coach went and found them.
His name's Rudis Gallo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Found them and they started playing, managed to qualify for the World Cup. And a few years later, not only did they qualify for the World Cup in Italy, but also actually eliminated the host country, Italy.
Yeah. And before we even get even to that, I want to relay in again, like the situation, not situation, but like, yeah, where they are from. They're from remote parts of El Salvador, which sounds weird to say remote. It's such a tiny country, but it sounds like it's a very country-esque place. And yeah, they're like dirt poor fishermen. And it seems like everything they do is just, they get up really, really early. They fish for their family all day, but then they also play soccer. And then this coach, Rudis Gallo, collected them, figured them out. But where are they going to practice? They all live on different parts of these islands. Where are you going to practice? So if it looks like when we watch the documentaries and you helped explain it to me, it seems most of these fishermen, they fish all day one day, and the next day they wake up at 4 a.m., 4:30 a.m. Then they have to go to each of the islands on a boat and collect everyone. Yeah. Then they have to get to the mainland where they take buses, and then they have to pick everyone else up, and they don't get to practice till about 8 a.m.
Yeah.
That's about 4 hours of commute to just get to practice.
Yes.
Not to mention all day yesterday, you'd worked like all day fishing. And so if anyone, I've complained about my commute many times before. I want to shut up because this is ridiculous. Like that's 4 hours of commute just to get to practice. You haven't done the practice yet. So put that in perspective of even got to play games in general, not to mention they now are playing internationally. They still have to provide for their family, but they still want to play soccer together.
Yeah.
Like that's insane. And yeah, you were saying they were only pretty much playing. So I remember you were saying they were just playing teams like Costa Rica, not any big timers. And then they qualified for the World Cup. And yeah.
Well, they have the qualification process. What I meant where they were playing smaller teams from different countries in Central America, but those were their practice round. Like, when you're playing friendly games, those were the practice teams that they had to prepare to go and play
the World
against
Cup.
Portugal, against Italy, against Argentina, and we lost against Russia.
What are they doing? What are they doing in beach soccer? Wait, where are they even practicing?
I'm not sure. Yeah,
I know. Well, if anything, they're playing like snowy beach soccer, which is intense.
Yeah,
that's probably why they're winning.
Can we check that fact actually? Because that was back in 2011, 2012. So I don't remember exactly which game they lost against Russia, but yeah, we played against them.
And going back to that like identity aspect, being a smaller country, beating a country like Italy or Portugal, that's gotta feel good.
I was in my college class, it was my English class, learning about the Puritans.
Next.
and I was watching, I had the game in the background and I could not hold back my tears. I had to leave.
Oh my gosh.
The class, go to the bathroom, compose myself because, it was just like, just the pride that knowing that this group of people are sacrificing so much to be there representing our country and the love that they play with and that not giving up against all odds. After they won that game and they beat Italy, people were literally having to look up where El Salvador was because they didn't know. Reporters, commentators were looking after the information, struggling to say anything about the team because no one expected it. They probably had a lot of data about the Italian players and what, made them win and go there and make it to the semifinals, but they didn't have anything much to say about El Salvador. And I think that is one of the things that really puts us back on the map and shows people that, yes, we might be a very small country, but it is the love for a country, the resilience that we have, that it's something that we shouldn't be overlooked.
Overlooked,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, even trying to find this stuff on the story, I really couldn't.
yeah.
It's only local news.
It's only,
And ESPN did something, but it was still in Spanish.
Yeah.
So, like, this is not a well-known story. This is definitely, like, from word of mouth, from your own experience and passion, like, watching them.
Yeah.
And I just want to go back and reiterate, most of them don't know how to read and write, and yet they traveled to Italy.
Yeah. This is Italy.
Can you imagine? Try to remember the first time you traveled abroad, how mind-blowing it was. Now imagine doing it on a big stage. You don't really know how to read or write. Everyone's speaking a completely different language, and you're not with your family. All you know is family, fishing, being on the water,
Yeah.
and soccer. And then suddenly you're in Italy. I don't even know what that was.
Sites there too. Like,
Oh,
all the, Coliseum or like whatever. It's got to be insane. Culture shock.
oh my God.
And the most beautiful thing that we learned from the documentaries that we watched was that they were not thinking about, oh my gosh, I'm going to go see the Roman Coliseum. They were thinking about, I wish my family was here to be part of this experience. They felt kind of guilty to be living such an amazing experience without being able to share it with their families. A lot of the other teams, they are able, their families are able to travel with them, right? They have the ability to do so. But when your family, it's literally covering for you because someone has to feed the chickens so you can sell them the next day, right? That's the type of life that they're coming from. They cannot afford to bring their families to see them play or to be able to enjoy that experience with them.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see why they feel guilty or feel sad. Like that. Yeah, because that's not even possible. Someone has to be home making money or taking care of the house and stuff.
Yeah.
That is so, that also like the specialty that they get to go play soccer over on the other side of the world. Their world went from tiny little beach to it just opened completely just through soccer. That's amazing to me. But that their resilience in their day-to-day workload just kind of built up into this whole thing of them going to Italy. That is so cool to me. And I mean, like, what's going on with them now? Like, I know y'all won against Italy. I guess Russia beat y'all. So strange. But so what's going on with them now? Are they able to quit being fishermen? Are they able to go live the soccer lifestyle now?
No, they're still fishermen. What did ended up happening was that the government, after their success and representing, the country, the government offered to build houses for them because they were living in
Like huts.
Yeah, with no electricity, no running water, and no TV, no refrigerators, nothing you will normally have, even if you are from a low income community here. Those are, basic things that you have.
You definitely have electricity.
Yeah. So that's where they were coming from. And so the government set up through sponsors, the soccer federation and the government, they were able to set up that budget to be able to build houses for them.
Yeah.
And some of them were able to buy the fishing boats, which they didn't have. Some of them became fishing partners. So they, got to meet other fishermen and get to know them well and venture together.
Yeah. So, I mean, they're still doing the same thing. I mean, like, they're still hustling, doing their practices. They're waking up at 4 a.m., but then still doing fisherman stuff just to provide for their family. I don't know. It's just wild to me. I mean, they honestly, though, their life has improved so much just being able to do that.
It has. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, considering the circumstances they had before.
Yeah. But there's no salary for them because you were saying that beach soccer is not as important as the regular soccer.
No. At least from what I was able to gather, were not paid for practice, but they did get paid when they traveled to play. So again, I'm not sure how much that was or anything, but they did mention that they made more money fishing than playing. Yeah.
Wow. So they absolutely 100% do it for the love of the sport.
Yeah.
Because it's taking away time from their family. It's taking money away from their family. But at the same time, that's what they love to do. And that's what they're good at.
Yeah. And they know they're representing the dream
Yeah.
of not just their own dreams, but the dreams of many Salvadorians that get to see them.
Yeah, of course. And like, what are their kids gonna get to think?
Yeah.
Like I don't know. That's just wow. That's incredible. They're really just doing it for the pure love of the sport.
Yeah, I think that is really what shines when you see them playing, especially seeing them play as, someone that is from El Salvador and that also comes from a very underprivileged community. Just to be able to see them on TV or to see them, how happy they look playing. To them, it's not about the money, the fame that they're playing. It's the love and recognizing the sacrifices that their families are making for them to be able to be there and do something that they love. And I think we can all relate to that, right? It doesn't matter if you are a soccer player, or if you are, I don't know, just like yourself, right? Driving in the car to your job, realizing that there's people that made sacrifices for you to be there. And there's people that are rooting for you to do well, and that you're doing something that you love and you care.
That's kind of beautiful. You have to think of everything in your life has come from someone probably giving parts of themselves to you.
Yeah.
That's a really cool thought. Even if it's not in this dramatic way, being like world soccer, people, like, I don't know, that's very true. Everything you have has come from someone sacrificing something, or like their love for you or something. That's really beautiful. That's beautiful. And I mean, they're living in two worlds. There's still soccer players, but there's still fishermen, and they just need more coverage, because I found it really hard to learn about them.
Yeah. And
that's why I love doing this podcast, because I want to hear stories about this. I want to share stories about this. Let's get them more recognition. I want to hear documentaries. Like, I guess I could definitely learn more Spanish, but I like to hear about documentaries like that are outside the country too.
Yeah, but I mean, if I were to be in Italy, I would want it out of the map too.
So true.
But it is because, like I said, we are not on the map the same way that bigger countries are. I'm not exactly sure where that comes from, if it's just, the size of the country and the impact that we make on a worldwide stage. But it is something that I think it's definitely worth recognizing, the effort and sacrifice that these players put for the country.
Yeah.
And
just that theme you were talking about with like resilience, that's something I absolutely can see in you. And I mean, Kyle, what did you get from the story? What's inspired you?
Well, the thing that inspired me the most about this story is that it reminds me a lot of, bringing things a little bit off topic, but like the Jamaican bobsled team, right? There's no snow there, right? And these guys come in and make waves at the Olympics. And similarly speaking, this tiny country puts together this team of ragtag players coming from all different quiet parts of the country. And I don't even know, I would love to hear the story about how the coach found these guys.
Right? Like
how do you find that? Because put it in perspective, this would be similar to the Salvador national team beating Italy, like the same level of shock that would generate in the beach soccer community. Because especially if you're the host nation, or if you're a nation, I'm sure Italy was heavily favored to win.
Yes,
in this little country that no one, a lot of people haven't heard of, comes in and beats them. And it's like, what the just happened? And that's gotta feel so good, as coming from a small country, being like, look, people are looking us up now. Like,
yes,
this sport opened up the window, no matter how brief, of world relevance.
Yeah.
And us living here in, especially the very touristy part of the world, very famous part of the world, making me realize maybe we're accustomed to that. Like, everyone's talking about LA everywhere, right? Hollywood, blah blah blah, right? But for Salvador, this was their time in the limelight. And I'm so glad to hear that this ragtag team of fishermen came to Italy and made some waves.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, who knows what other small countries were inspired by this, though?
Oh, yeah.
So many other people are watching this, like from countries in Asia or in Africa or wherever they are, and that are smaller. And they're like, what? Okay. Like,
now what's your excuse?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like, look at them go,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's just so amazing. And how you're saying, like, how did the coach find these people. They're on like these small parts of these islands.
Oh, there's this one player on this far island
That's
that
exactly what it was.
is the best soccer player I've ever seen.
It was pure word of mouth.
Yeah.
I think he was walking around. He's like, yo, who can play soccer in your town? They're like, that dude.
He walked all 7 hours
Yeah.
all around El Salvador finding these guys. He found the best players in a 7 hour radius driving. And went to the World Cup, so he did a pretty good job.
They were ironically all fishermen.
Yeah, I know. I wonder if that helped. I mean, I don't know how it would, but
pretty sure
strength. They deal with nets a lot. I don't know,
Yeah. Bravo to the coach.
Yeah,
Like
right.
a coach plays it.
He's got an eye for talent. For
yeah,
sure.
like eye for talent. You know how to motivate everyone to be able to leave their jobs, leave their families.
They're gonna lose money doing what you want them to do.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a salesman.
I know. Yeah, they must have just really loved it.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, for them, it's something different. The chance to represent your country and do that as a huge honor, and they definitely represented their country very well.
Yeah, for sure.
Go them.
And I do have another quick fact about how we are overlooked. I was telling you earlier about the time that our U23 division, they have a championship as well for regular soccer. And they were playing against the United States. And this was the qualifying game. So the team that won this game got to travel to the next qualifying game. And El Salvador ended up winning the game, surprisingly. So when those soccer players got their tickets to board the airplanes, the names on their flights were the American team.
Oh.
Yes. So they had to handwrite the name of the Salvadorian players.
Oh my God. I love this
If I was a Salvadorian player, I want to be there for every second of that.
Yeah.
It's like, make sure you get that A right.
Yeah,
That doesn't look right. You should
rewrite it.
Write it again. Yeah.
I love that. Such a good come up story. So I'm saying that y'all don't be sleeping on El Salvador, y'all. They're going to come into your town and beat y'all's ass in soccer. Definitely the themes of like resilience and I mean, who knew like how much soccer can affect people, like it hasn't affected me yet besides like the sexy coaches. But besides that, like I don't know, but like from my end all the way over to your end, like, and then how being completely influenced by a game, like it's kind of crazy. It's a world sport.
90% of the world watches it.
And then that 10% is the U.S.
Yeah. It's just the U.S. that doesn't.
Biggest sports market in the world.
Literally.
Does not watch the biggest sport.
Literally.
Yes.
It's actually kind of crazy. But I guess how would you watch them play today? It's just, if you're just in El Salvador, it's not really on TV or?
Oh, it's very hard to find the games.
Soccer in general.
El Salvador teams in general.
Oh.
Because let's say that you have Mexico playing against Costa Rica or Panama, they will play the Mexican game. Or if it's Costa Rica playing, they will play the Costa Rican game before they play El Salvador.
Wow.
Yeah. So there is a lot of like coverage that we don't get as well. Even if I pay for some of the subscriptions to be able to watch the World Cup qualifying games. And if it's, smaller countries like El Salvador, they don't get coverage. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was always interested. I was wondering how they could watch them.
And what year was that?
This was 2011, 2012.
Okay, so if you wanted to look that up.
2011, 12, Salvadorian beach soccer.
Yeah, and I'm going to post links to those YouTube videos. So if you do, even if you don't speak Spanish, you just kind of want to see who they are, where they're
they
from.
come from. Yeah.
I think that's important, just to click on that video and the link and just watch that, Yeah, it's super fascinating. And before we wrap up the episode, do you have any lasting comments on El Salvador or soccer or anything?
Yeah, I think, just very happy that I get to share my culture, my experience, and also the food. And now they are both, Marie and Kyle are both huge pupusa fans.
I personally like the breakfast.
The breakfast too
is what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah, that Salvadorian restaurant that you took me to. Oh my God.
The breakfast is like the perfect thing post hangover that you also gonna go right to sleep after eating.
Yeah.
It's so good. The breakfast is delicious.
Yeah. Our food, it's very good. And, you know, it's something that we love to share as Salvadorians. You guys met my mom. And she loves to feed people.
Oh my God. I've never seen so many pupusas in my life. She just was like cracking them out back and forth. There was a stack like pancakes just of pupusas.
It's a beautiful sight.
Yes. Yeah. So what was your favorite thing you learned today, Cal?
Well, my favorite thing that I learned was the story about the beach soccer team. You know, the beautiful thing about sports is that it is so universal. And no matter where you're from, small town, huge city, you feel that story. And it's a story about the resilience, and it reveals a lot about the people that, to me, reveals a lot of things that they should be proud of in themselves and their country.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. And it's going to be really interesting because our next story in El Salvador is also about an amazing person that comes from your country. I don't want to dive too into it. Also has to do with perseverance and resilience, and absolutely a story of against all odds. And it's a story that's not told. It's really not told. His name is not known. His family had to make his name known. So it's the next story in El Salvador is also going to be a really, really good untold story. But yeah, I don't want to talk about it too much. But yeah, but that really just wraps up our El Salvador episode.
Before we go, what did you learn?
What did I learn? I turned a table. Okay, so I already knew a little bit about the story, but I really didn't know. I didn't know you couldn't really watch El Salvador on soccer. You told me today about how that they went against America and they just completely overlooked. So I guess I thought of like this as a story of not a one-time overlooking story, but like it's just continually happening, you know? I mean, I told you I didn't really know about El Salvador until I came to LA and kept meeting Salvadorians. I think that's what I really learned is that they need to be on TV more. They need their stories told more. And the people that live there live humbly, but they live in a community and they live strong. They live strong within that community. And I don't know, that's definitely what I learned. And I want to go to El Salvador. I don't know how to surf. Hopefully I'll do better than Kenya. I'll make it to the water. She did not represent El Salvador.
Not surfing. Dancing, though.
Dancing for sure. For sure.
That's my strength.
Yeah. But yeah, just to wrap up the episode, you can go there for hopefully for soccer, definitely for the food, and hopefully to meet the famous goat. You know, get on meet the famous goat. But I did want to just wrap up the episode with some business corner real quick. Just please leave a quick rating or review on whatever platform you're listening on. It takes 2 seconds, but it really helps get the show to more people who are in there. Will be more able to find it. Also, if you're a passionate fan and want more of the show, we now have a cult membership. So for $5 a month, you get episodes early. You also get secret episodes just for you. At the end of these episodes, we're doing something new starting this season where you get a fun extra 15 minutes with me and the guests, because I noticed y'all have said to me that y'all wanted to get to know the guests more. So that's your chance. After that episode, get an extra 10 to 15 minutes where we either read out really cringy questions to each other, or and one we're doing today is weird world news stories. There's some really weird news stories out there, and I read those out to them. So if you want to join the cult and get these special perks, the link is in the show notes to sign up. Also, I'm going to post the video of the soccer team. I think it's really important just to kind of see what we're really talking about, how remote of a place they've come from. Again, I just want to thank y'all for listening. We reached over, I'm recording this in May, so I don't know how it's going to be in June, but we've reached over 25 countries, which is really cool. So now 25 countries get to hear about El Salvador and get to hear about the soccer team and where you come from.
Amazing.
I know. So it's just
so
like
exciting.
We're making the world smaller in a way. So if you ever just want to come onto the show or have any suggestions, just feel free to reach me at culturecultshow on Instagram or at my Gmail, culturecultshow@gmail.com, if you want to come on the show and talk about your country. I think this is really special to get to hear that. But yeah, thanks for coming on, y'all. I'm sitting in the closet.
It's hot in here.
I know, it's hot.
Can't wait to do it again.
But yeah, just make sure to check out the next episode on El Salvador. We're going to have another friend who's also, he's not from El Salvador. He's going to be interesting because his parents are Salvadorian. He lives in LA. So we're going to get that perspective. And we'll get to hear the insane and untold story about a brave Salvadorian who helped save 40,000 Jewish people from the Holocaust. It's a really special story. That's going to be coming on next. And it's just more proof that Salvadorians have something in their blood for sure. But that'll be the next episode for y'all to look forward to. If you're a cult member, stick around for the post-episode talk and some weird news. And yeah, cheers, y'all.
All right, cheers.
How do you say just salud?
Salud.
Yeah. Okay,
Also, to say goodbye, we say salud.
Well, yes, salud.
Salud.
See you later.
Salud you later.